Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Simon Ennis, award-winning director whose feature documentary, The Hobby: Tales from the Tabletop, is currently playing on theaters across Canada and will be on video on demand in Canada and the USA in July. Simon, welcome to the binge. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very good. Thanks for having me.
It is great having you on here. I'm just going to very quickly, my friend, pull in your actual Zoom because we don't have your face. There we go. Oh, boy. Wow. Technology. I love it. So, Simon, I got to have a sneak peek of this this film you did, which was absolutely awesome. We're going to get into it. I'm going to get a little granular on some parts if that's okay. But first and foremost, you're kind of, I think, the first director we've had on the podcast. So this is kind of exciting to actually talk about a film that's focused on the board game industry. But being a director and having this kind of, background across, award-winning across many different types of featurettes, I believe this is the first one in the board game industry. What got you thinking about the board game industry?
Well, I like making movies about different subcultures. That's usually what I do, and kind of exploring new worlds and usually communities that kind of have their own language, have their own obsession, have their own traditions. But for the hobby, it was the first movie I made where I was actually kind of part of that obsession myself, and it was something that I was into. So I guess I was already like deeply in love with board games, completely obsessed, and I it just sort of hit me that like this would be a great topic for a documentary. And there have been some documentaries about board games, but I what I was trying to do was just really look into the world and the people who populate it. So I really wanted to kind of show. I mean, the movie's both for board gamers like us and for a general audience. So because it's for a general audience, I really wanted kind of a look into this world for people that like, had no idea what AP is or what a meeple is or anything like that. So I got into modern board games starting in about 2018. And as I was making the movie, which wasn't until we started shooting in 2021,
Oh,
I
that
had to
long
keep
ago.
reminding
Wow. Okay.
myself of what it was, you know, what my life was like before I entered this incredible world that we're both in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was I was already a gamer, and yeah, then so and it takes a little while to get funding for a feature documentary too. So I think we started going for it maybe 2019 or so. We got greenlit. We got the funding in May of 2020. So I couldn't really do anything for about a year and a half because there were no conventions. Nobody was really getting together playing board games other than like I would play with my wife. But yeah, so it was a bit of a long, slow process, but then kind of supercharged finally when the pandemic subsided and I could actually like go to Gen Con and
Yeah.
and do all the other stuff with a camera.
What is that process like trying to get funding for something like that? Like, I have no idea like how you even go about that. Like, who are the community out there that fund these types of things, and like how do you approach them?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to fund movies, and it's a little different in Canada and the States. I'm in Canada,
Yeah.
so the main way of funding a movie in Canada is like our there's a governmental film funding agency called Telefilm Canada. So most Canadian films have a little bit of money from them. It's basically like a grant, but not exactly an arts grant. So what you do, you write up a proposal. I made this big, probably 15-page book with a lot of images and a lot of writing
Mm.
saying, the whole concept for the movie, what my approach was, who would maybe be in a movie. With the documentary, it's kind of more of an organic process. So the people who are going to become the main subjects may change along the way. But basically, you make a proposal that gives, to the best of your ability at the time, an impression of what the movie's going to be. And the producers put together a budget and sort of a full financing plan because Telefilm won't pay for the whole thing. So you also have to get a theatrical distributor and you have to get some kind of a broadcast partner. So in our case, in Canada, it's Crave. So the movie will
Mm.
eventually be on great.
Oh, that's amazing.
Um, so it's yeah, so you just put it all together, and then it's a huge amount of waiting. Like it just takes months for them to get back to you. They only have one deadline a year, and then it takes a while for them to make their decisions. It's very competitive, and we were lucky enough that they chose our project. And yeah, like I said, got the green light in May of 2020, and couldn't pick up a camera for well over a year.
Oh wow. Yeah, I would have. It was funny because when you say you started filming in 2021, yet when I was watching, it felt very contemporary. Like I would have assumed that you just filmed this at the latest like last year's Gen Con. Like I didn't get the perception that this was a few years ago. That was quite impressive. When you're
Well,
going,
I mean, the Gen Con that you see in the movie was actually, I think, 2 years ago. Like, I
yeah,
did go to Gen Con film. I went to the first masked
okay,
Gen Con, and we ended up not using that footage. But I'd say some of the first footage that we filmed was in 2021. Like the segment with Elizabeth Hargrave, that was one of the earliest things I did.
mm.
Went to DC and went bird watching with her. So that was I think that was November 2021, and that was really when we started. But making a documentary, at least the way that I do it, you don't shoot all at once. It's like I'd shoot with somebody for a bit, and then we do a little bit editing, and then go somewhere else, shoot more, do a little bit editing. So it's like it's kind of slowly built over time.
The museum at the beginning, the opening shot, which I absolutely loved. That was that in Britain? Which museum was that?
Yeah, that was the British Museum in London, which is, like has a huge collection
Yeah,
of ancient artifacts and wonderfully and wildly it has 2,500-year-old board for the game the ancient Sumerian
yeah,
game. Yeah. So and which is actually that might be that might be the first board game I remember playing. Obviously, I'm not 2,500 years old, but my
yeah.
dad happened to have a copy of
No
that
kidding.
he bought like in the late 70s or the early 80s. So in the mid 80s when I was a kid, or late 80s probably, I do remember playing a version of that game and being obsessed with it, like just losing myself in the world that the imagery created. Just felt like, oh, I'm in ancient times
Yeah.
now. So the film's about modern board games, but I did want to contextualize it in that, like, this is something that humans have always done. So I wanted to just have like one little slice, one little piece of an ancient board game to just show the universality of playing.
The funny thing is when I was watching that, because I've been to that museum, right, and that exact spot where you're interviewing them between the two winged statues, I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah. Lamassu.
Yeah, and he refers to the etching of the board at the base. I'm like, I missed that. What the heck? I can't believe I missed that when I was at that museum because I was in that exact spot. And I saw the whole I saw the game, right. So they've got different games. They've even got some from Egypt too as well, right, in that museum, which are just really really cool to see something that ancient, and to see kind of where it all began. But yeah, I was actually kicking myself when I saw that in that opening scene. Like, how did I miss the Romans? And for those who are going to see this film, there's he refers to, like, there's this I guess the Romans when they were on duty or whatever in that location, whoever the guards were actually etched a version of the of whatever their latest game was they're playing in the actual base of this statue, and use rocks, and they could just sweep them away really quickly, right, when they're ready to play the next game. So
Yeah, it was ancient Mesopotamia, but yeah,
yeah,
it's incredible. I mean, yeah, these two giant statues that would have been like at a gate or
yeah,
something, and you can imagine these like centurions or whatever standing by, but they'd be bored, so they made a board game. They like basically graffiti. They just etched this board game. Really incredible. I mean, it really makes you realize that people have basically always been the same,
yeah.
like even over 2,000 years ago, it's like people were generally the same. They wanted to do the same kinds of things, and one of those things, as we well know, is playing board games.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. In going through the process, was there ever like a roadblock that you reached where there was a funder you're trying to get to where they're like, I just don't get it, like board games, I don't, this isn't really clicking for us, like that? Was there any of that kind of resistance along the way?
um I don't know. I mean, the sort of funding process. Well, first of all, I do a bunch of the creative stuff, but it's my producers that go in and try and
Mm,
convince people, because they're sort of the money people. It No, I don't think that there was exactly a moment like that, but not to say that it was, a walk in the park to get the money. It's a difficult thing and it takes a long time. Just yeah, just the waiting and the delays and stuff. And you don't know that they're gonna be able to, support you until they actually do. So, but I think that my my producers have a really good track record, and I had a really good track record of making films that have played in like really good film festivals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but you never know. And also too, it's like, this is a subject that is really fun, really positive. Not necessarily for everybody. I mean, because it was very specifically about like modern board games, like the
Yeah.
modern board game hobby. But I had to really convince people that this wasn't just a movie for board gamers. Although it's great to have that core audience, but it's a movie for everybody, and so that's why really the focus of the movie is about people. And it's about sort of what drives us, creativity, competition, just the need to be together. And those are kind of the themes of the movie. So I think that's what resonated. And also just knowing with my track record with other films that, they tell me that I'm pretty good at, approaching people with like curiosity and empathy and humor. So, hopefully the idea was, and this is what audiences have been telling me now, is that it's like, oh, there are all these amazing subjects in the movie. Like we love all the people in the movie and getting to know them, and getting to know them and like kind of seeing their triumphs and their setbacks and all of this stuff is a really positive experience. So I think that's hopefully, or that's probably what helped us get funding. But yeah, I mean, it's a real slog. That's the thing. It's more of a slog than a having lots of doors slammed in your faces. Because frankly, in Canada, there aren't a lot of places to get funding for movies. So if you
Yeah.
don't kind of get the few yeses, it's really difficult to make the movie in the first place. It's weird. In America, it's a lot different because there's a lot of private funding in America. So there's a lot of like, can you convince a really rich person? But I haven't done that route. I'm in the Canadian system.
Yeah, you got to find all those super rich people in the board game industry to fund this, right?
Sure.
Not that they exist. Um, yeah, like the amount of heart I found when I was watching this was what I thought was really resonated, right? And I think when you talk about the people's stories, there's couples in there, and you can see their interaction and how games are, is a shared kind of love for them. You can see individuals who talk about, their life journey and trying to find almost like their place, right? And they find it in this industry. We talk about Elizabeth when she's talking about. Wingspan, the creation of Wingspan, and how that was like so random, and then her pushback that she felt in the industry, people saying, well, no, birds is a terrible idea, they'll never work, you should reskin this to something else, and her saying, well, no, that's kind of the point, that's kind of the point of why I'm doing this. And then seeing how big that game blew up, it's very, very well done, documentary style for sure. Like I was trying to think of something that if someone was wanting to kind of understand kind of like how this is put together. It's not like just someone running through like Gen Con with a camera and interview. Like this is like an actual film. This is a documentary, right? Like it's the shots. Like I made a couple notes when I was going through. I'm like, wow, the way he framed that shot is so cool. Um, like the one with Daryl, for instance. So Daryl Andrews, mutual acquaintance of ours, did Sagrada, right? That was one of the games. He's done a lot of. He's very prolific. He's done a lot of game design. He's, as we said before, went on air. He's like City TV. He's everywhere. This guy is everywhere. But Sagrada is probably where he's most known for. And this game is about stained glass windows, right? And so you're interviewing him, and then you've got this shot where you got him framed with all this stained glass around him, and I'm like, where did they go for that? Like, I doubt that's his house. Like this, where do they go? Where did they get that shot? Like, so, like, how did you kind of plan these kind of things out and like map it out as you're getting ready to kind of shoot some of this stuff?
Well, every person that I did a sit down interview with, I wanted to frame them in a space that really just kind of screamed whatever it was sort of that they did. So we would find locations for everything. So Daryl, he was living somewhere in southwestern Ontario. I think he was in like Kitchener Waterloo at that time. So we just found a place that they had a lot of vintage stained glass, but I think it was also a stained glass studio. So we literally just went somewhere with like a ton of stained glass windows and just put the chair that he sat in for the interview just kind of surrounded by stained
Yeah,
glass, and then we just like pumped light through it. Yeah, with Elizabeth, her games are nature themed.
yeah,
So her sit down interview, we went to a uh, I guess it was a kind of greenhouse. It was a little kind of like nature preserve, but like kind of in a bubble so that she was surrounded by plants. It would have been too loud to like bring her into like a bird sanctuary or something,
yeah.
so we couldn't do that. And then yeah, everybody else, the philosopher in the film who makes the point that board games are the meaning of life. We filmed him in this like big library, so he was kind of surrounded by books and stuff like that. So it was just like a stylistic thing at the beginning. It's like, it's talking head interviews. I think they're great. If somebody's interesting, it's amazing to hear what they have to say, but they can be kind of boring. So I just wanted to, like, visually, that is.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that all of them looked really great. So we had a pretty unified style for it. And like I said, it was like, okay, what would scream this person? Let's find a location and talk to them in there. So yeah, we did that.
And then the archival footage. So when you're talking about someone's like childhood and they're and then there's intercut like clips. Is that just someone's kid that you're filming to kind of paint the picture, or did you actually get some of this like footage from like
For sure. Yeah.
yeah
Well, so you're talking about John Haig, who's a guy in New York that works as an art customs broker. But on the side, we watch his journey. He's designed his first game, and he has a very modest goal. He's trying to sell 100 copies on Kickstarter.
yeah
But you can see the trials and tribulations. You can see like how much pressure he's putting on himself, like everything he's doing to try and play test. And Yeah, his story is one of the ones that resonates the most for me. I won't spoil it whether or not he actually sells those 100 games. You'll have to see the movie. But yeah, he after we had filmed with him, or maybe it was in between two different times. I think it was when we were in editing. He he texted me and said, "Oh, Simon, I'm going to my parents' house for Christmas. I'm gonna go through some old home videos because I think I have a shot of me getting a board game for Christmas." So he digitized them, and I said, "Okay, John, that's great. Don't just send me that shot. Send me absolutely everything you have." And then it ended up being a little bit of a motif, and you could see sort of all that creativity and fun kind of bursting out of him as a kid. But yeah, it was just that was definitely him. It was his parents' home movies from like 1989 or whenever.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, and then how did you pick him? So that was I was thinking going through like what was your connection to him? Like how did he get of all the people? Because I mean, there's hundreds of people launching games a week on Kickstarter and doing their journey. You go to any playtesting night at local meetups or prototyping nights. I think you talked about Unpub at one point in the documentary as well. Um, like how did you hone in on him? Like what was it made you kind of pick him and his story?
Well, I mean, a big thing about our world, about the board game hobby, is there are the big celebrity designers. There are designers that maybe we don't know their name, but work a lot, and then well, we all hear this. Everybody's got a game in them. So there are people that make their own games, and maybe you're trying to break into the industry, or maybe you're just doing it for fun.
Yeah,
And I knew that I wanted to have some really well-known designers. So we have Elizabeth, we have Daryl, we have Eric Langs in the movie.
yeah,
But I wanted to show kind of the other side of it, and just like, what if you're not a professional? What if this is, not even a side gig for you? This is just a hobby. Is like, I want to try making a game and see
yeah.
if people like it. So I knew I wanted somebody for that, and I actually met John at that Masked Gen Con in 2021. He was I forget the name of the room, but there's like a
Unpub.
very like a total indie.
It's called
Oh, is it
Unpub. Yeah,
Unpub at Gen Con? Yeah, because
yeah,
that's different from the one at PAX, which we also filmed him at.
yeah.
So yeah, so I met him at Unpub, and there was just something about him that I resonated with. And I think I asked him what his job was, and he said, "Oh, I'm a customs broker in the fine art world."
Yeah.
And I was like, well, so wait, what is that exactly that you do? And he's like, basically shipping like, crazy fine art. And I was like, oh wow. So what's that like? And he just looked at me and said, well, if you have a Picasso in Poughkeepsie and you need to get it to Prague, I'm your man. And I think when he said that, I was like, this guy's funny. I like him. And we just I just we developed a bit of a relationship, and I just kind of checked in on how things were going,
Yeah.
and the timing really worked as well. Like by the time that I was filming in some other places, he was ready to kind of do some more of his final playtesting, which he did at PAX in Philadelphia, and then actually launch the Kickstarter. Because the thing is, it takes a while to make a movie, but you kind of can't wait forever. So his timeline worked, and I just thought he was I really felt with him. I mean, I honestly, like, as somebody who works in a creative field as well, obviously, like, as we were talking about, my film has like funding and has a broadcaster and stuff like that, but just like trying to make your own work and then put it out in the world, and all the highs and lows and all the stress and satisfaction and everything, I really related to, and I just thought that other people would. And and he's just kind of a charming guy, and again has this like really deep, loving relationship with his wife, who really kind of emotionally supports him in that journey. It's very funny that you mentioned the couples thing.
Yeah.
We were just on tour in Western Canada last week. And I think when I was in Vancouver at the Rio, I was watching the movie, and I've seen it a million times. I barely watch it at the screenings anymore, but I just happened to be watching part of it, and I was like, is the subtext of this movie actually just about like couples? Is just about like couples supporting one another?
Yeah.
Because there are a bunch of moments of that. I mean, I didn't mean to make that wasn't what I was trying to say with the film or whatever, but it just sort of came up. Sort of interesting little thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like what resonated me with his story, and I'm glad you picked him because I think he is the prototypical new game designer trying to get into the industry. Like it is a perfect match because you see this across the states, across the world, even in here in Canada. If you go to any of the prototyping nights, and you will see the same people, right? That first of all, it'd be great if somebody to do at one point do a supercut of at a Gen Con, go into an unpub room with a microphone and ask each of the people, what do you do for a living? Don't even ask about the game. What do you do for a living? I love to see that super cut with like 50 people because you're going to get such a wide spectrum of what people do. Like even this podcast, your episode, I think 323, I think is your, but like when I look at all the different people and I always ask them, what do they do for a living? It is such a wide swath of everything from, hey, you know what, I went out of work during COVID, and I started working on this game, and I'm all in. This is what I'm gonna do. To people who are like aerospace engineers, and they're like, you know what, my day job, I'm always in front of computers, and I'm thinking about wind turbines and things like that, and I need something tactile to kind of just distract me from that when I get home and give my mind a break. So I'm doing this as a hobby, right? So it's such a wide swath. And with his story, what really hit me is there's this one scene, I hope it's okay if I talk about it, where I think he's at like a local cafe, and
Yeah.
and he's sitting and he's got his table set up, right? And he's and people are going by. He's like, would you like to try? I got this game, prototype game. No, okay, no worries. Hey, would you like to try this game? Oh, no, it's okay. And just that rejection, right, that you go through, and all of us game designers have gone through that. It is brutal, especially in a cafe. Like if you're in an unpub room, you've got probably a 50-50 chance somebody will actually stop and play because they've come there to actually play test games. But when you're doing it cold at a game event, or at Snakes and Lattes here in Canada, right? It is excruciating because you're getting maybe 1 in every 10 are going to say, yeah, even ask you what the game is about. Usually they're going, no, I'm good. And they walk by, right? So that kind of hit me in the feels because I'm like, man, I can see it on his face, that feeling. And I've been there, right? We've been there. And so that was really cool. I thought you did a great job with that.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll tell you a funny story. So we were just kind of on this tour. We were like playing in Toronto, Edmonton, Vancouver, places like that. And Elizabeth came up for it, and she was happy to watch the movie every time because she hasn't sat with it for as long as me. But that she finds that so painful that that's when she decides to go to the bathroom or get
Yeah.
a popcorn or whatever. She was like, that's the part that I have to leave because I know how that felt
Yeah.
so much, and I'm just like,
It's
it's
awful.
like it's almost too much. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that I guess that's the thing that you have to go through. And I think in every creative field, there is some version of that, and we all have to go through it. And I don't know how you protect yourself from it other than just knowing going in it's like that will happen. It just is part and parcel for it. I mean, I don't know how you guys do it because yeah, stuff like when it's set up like, actual playtesting nights
Yeah.
or Unpub or all that. Yeah, it's set up, but man, going into a cafe and like just hoping that somebody, because most people that are going to a board game cafe are like, me and my friend are going to this cafe and we're gonna play X game or whatever. It's like, you have a plan,
Yeah.
and now what somebody sitting there, a new game designer is there, is asking like, hey, instead of doing your fun plan that you were going to do, will
Yeah.
you come over and check out this thing that's like not even ready yet? Maybe it's not good yet.
Yeah.
Like it's tough, but but then again, on the other hand, board gamers are usually very like awesome, positive, welcoming people. So I'm sure you do get some that are like, oh, and also everybody's looking for the new hotness, right? So maybe
Yeah.
this is
I did that once, like on my first game. That I went to. I thought I found a local board game store that had like kind of a gaming area in the back, and oh yeah, Tuesdays we have gaming night. You should come on out. I'm like, can I bring my game? He's like, yeah, sure, man, whatever. Yeah, bring it out. So I came out and I set up, and it was this kind of little skirmish game with tanks. And I look around, and it was Magic the Gathering night. So there was nobody there to play anything but Magic the Gathering and cards. And I went through exactly what he went through in that film. I'm like, hey, would you like to try this? Oh, no, it's okay. Hey, would you like to try this? No. I ended up getting two people to play, and they had a good time. But man, it was painful. And you
yeah.
learn, right? It's like, okay, where's the best place to do that? My advice to people listening would be go to a prototyping event first, go to the cafe second, right? Because you're going to get way more people that are going to be open to try your game. You'll literally have people walk up and say, oh, what's this? And you'll explain it, and they'll be like, nah, I'm good. And they'll walk away, right? Like, you got to have a bit of a thick skin for these kind of things. And, but it's all part of the journey. And I think that, clearly he'll look back at this and it's good. He's got this film he can look back at his first journey. And, hopefully he's going to be a long-term game designer and developer and maybe a publisher. And, this will just be one more kind of, notch in the belt, bump in the road that you can reflect back on, right? And tell a funny story to someone else down the road.
Yeah, well, I've already played John's new game. I was just in New York a couple weeks ago, and so I met him for a drink. And it's a smaller card game, so we could literally like play it on the
Yeah.
bar. And so he's already got another, and I think another in the pipe. So I don't know if he's going to pursue like getting full publishing or just do sort of a small Kickstarter run. But
Yeah.
I mean, the bug has not left him. He's still
It's
he's still
addictive.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely addictive. And once you do a Kickstarter, it is a horrifying experience. It's the best way I can explain it. But then afterwards, you're like, nah, maybe I'll do it again, right?
Yeah.
Like the memory fades quickly of the bad stuff, and you think about the good stuff and the highs, and you want to kind of repeat that experience. The gentleman that I can't remember his name, that you kind of open with, is a friend of yours or something. You guys are talking about terraforming Mars, and you kind of follow his journey through to the World Board Gaming Championships. And it's interesting kind of seeing his arc from hyper competitive to, hey, I just want to sit and play with people. I thought that was such a clever journey that you kind of follow, because like I was that, and I think that's what people will see is like they're going to see a piece of themselves in each of these characters, right? And by characters, these are real people. But I was very much like that. I was hyper competitive when I started gaming, and I'm at a point now in my life where I could care less if I win or not. It's like I enjoy myself because I enjoy the experience. And people are like, "Oh, you're gonna keep track on BG stats?" I'm like, I don't care. I really could care less if I win or not. Like, I enjoy the experience as a game designer. I like to see new game mechanisms and try to figure out, okay, is this something I can adopt in something I'm creating? but it's more about the interaction with the people, right? And as the friends you're making and things like that. And we have this common saying where someone will be like, "Oh, can I undo my such and such move?" And we're like, "We're not curing cancer here."
Yeah.
Sure, this has zero impact on my life if I win or lose. If you want to undo your move, undo your move. It's all good, right? And so I thought that was really cool too. Yet at the same time, when the tournaments, when there is real stakes and there is money, and you guys get into tournaments, and that was eye opening for me because I had never really been part of the World Board Gaming Championship. So being kind of a bird's eye view on that was fascinating. But when there is money on the table, and the winners of that of each game get like a ring, right? It's almost like a Super Bowl ring, but it's like a World Board Gaming ring. There, if there's a mistake, it does matter, right?
Yeah.
And bringing judges in to say, hey, now we need to kind of arbitrate this. And I thought that was kind of interesting, hearing the different people behind the scenes of their take on kind of how that's all going down and what's happening there.
Totally, yeah. It was really interesting to go to the first, because that was the first ever World Series of board games
Yeah.
in Las Vegas. And I didn't know if it was going to be a big success or be a disaster or anything. And the people who run it are terrific, and it's a really great event. I'd subsequently been back. But yeah, it is that is like the one place. I mean, other championships as well, but like that is kind of the one place where, yeah, it's like if a card laid is a card played. A
Yeah.
meeple moved is there. Um, it's other than that, I'm completely with you. It's like, oh yeah, you want to take back your move, totally fine. But there, yeah, you have to go with it because we've all, and anyone playing it, I didn't compete myself, but anybody in competition has agreed like we are doing this at the most serious level,
Yeah.
and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it was awesome to get to go there. And then actually I went back last year and had a little surprise kind of pop-up screening there. So it was really fun to show it to a lot of the people. And in fact, a lot of the subjects that weren't at the WSBG when I filmed had now kind of become a part of it. So a lot of people who were in the film got to see it there, which was really something. But yeah, Dan's an amazing guy. We've been friends for 25 years. We worked in a video store in Toronto together,
Oh, nice.
and have just been friends for a long time. I wanted to include him again. It was sort of similar to John, the like first time indie designer. So much about our hobby in this community is just regular people getting into it. So I was, I had gotten into it, and then my friend was getting into it like right around the time I was starting to film. So it was like, oh, how do people get into this? And I was like, oh, well, with their friends. So I wanted to just kind of show that. And it's, I've never put myself in a movie before. I like appeared just like for, as a blip because I'm
Yeah.
part of Dan's origin story as a gamer. Um, so yeah, I wanted to really show that it's like, regular people and personal connections, and that's how we get into this world. Yeah, there was nobody better than my buddy.
Oh, it's amazing. So this is playing now across Canada. I noticed that there's been previous screenings, and Elizabeth, it's been fantastic. You've had her at a number of these screenings as well for Q&A, I assume afterwards. There, I will share on the show notes a link to your actual website that people can go to. They can see all the screening dates. So if they want to come and check it out live, they can. And a lot of them and it's right across Canada, right? So there's some in Toronto, there's Kingston, there's still some Vancouver locations coming up, or Victoria. There's one coming. Oh
Yeah,
no,
Victoria.
Victoria's.
Yeah, we did Vancouver last week.
So there's still some screenings coming up. I encourage people to check that out. And then after that, it's video on demand, right? So anywhere people can, iTunes, Amazon, wherever you buy your films. I think you were saying Blu-ray as well, which is super cool.
That'll be in the new year. That'll be next year. But yeah, at first, July 22nd will be available, as they say, anywhere you can buy or rent movies. So yeah, all of those places you mentioned, probably you can buy or rent it on YouTube as well. Like basically anywhere, wherever it is that you buy and rent your movies for
Yeah.
online, you'll be able to find the hobby
And
Tales from
then
the Tabletop.
Crave. When can they see it on Crave?
I'm actually not sure when, but it'll be months later. So
Okay.
I've been told by the distributor to only talk about the video on demand stuff now. There are different windows. It's like theatrical, then video on demand. So don't say that I mentioned Crave yet, but like months down the road, you'll be able to see it there. But why not rent it on Amazon or Apple in July?
And will you continue to show it at some of the cons even after it's kind of been released on VOD? Like, it seems natural that you'd probably pull this out and do a panel on this at some of the cons.
I don't know. I mean, I guess if I was invited to, I mean, I'd love to. Actually, Tom Vassell is showing it at Dice Tower East
Yeah.
on Thursday. Tom's in the movie as well. But yeah, we don't. It's funny as I think I was saying to you off camera. It's all I just make the movie. It's up to the distributors to put
Yeah.
it out there. So yeah, I don't know if there'll be a presence or maybe some advertising or something. But I mean, I obviously love board game conventions. The last thing I want to do at a convention is see a movie. So so I don't know. I mean, I would happily go to any of them, but like, I've been to Gen Con 4 times now, and I know that they do have some screenings, but I'm busy buying and playing games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if anyone has a convention that's listening to this, reach out. I'd be very happy to present the movie kind of anywhere. But I guess we're doing a little bit more of a just traditional movie run out. So it's yeah, theatrical and then VOD and eventually streamers.
Oh, amazing. For the next steps for you, like, so is this now parked and now board games is just something you'll do in the background? Is there any thoughts to another chapter in this kind of thing at all going forward, or kind of what's next?
Well, I don't think I'll make another board game movie, just because I feel like this is sort of what I had to say about it. And, there's so much to say about board games. Other filmmakers can make all kinds of movies, about the hobby in this world.
Sure.
I'm already working on another documentary, that is could not be more unrelated to board games. So now it's back to, I have my Sunday group with my friend Dan, and we're playing actually, tomorrow I have some friends coming over to play board games. It's more just back to a hobby for me. The thing I'll really miss is because I was traveling to all the cons and stuff to film. I felt like I really like knew like, oh, what's the new thing, what's coming, and what's coming next year and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And now I'm back to just being a regular person, so I just have to check, the I just have to check my favorite, content creators and Board Game Geek and all that stuff to find out. But yeah, I mean, I'm back to just playing, and the new documentary I'm making is, I'll just say that it's a far less joyous and positive subject matter
Okay.
than board games is. So it can be kind of stressful. So I've been like traveling and shooting for that, and then at the end of a crazy day of like, oh my gosh, what did this person say, and dealing with this, really divisive content, let's say. I'll go back to like, my Airbnb and play like, BGA for an hour to unwind.
There
So
you
it's
go.
back. Board games are back to just being a thing I love to do, but not also my job.
It's comfort food.
Yeah, absolutely. And more than that, I mean, it's everything. Like I said, I have a professional philosopher say on camera that board games are the meaning of life. So.
Well, Simon, I want to wish you all the best with your endeavors and the rest of your filmography. I mean, you're already award winning. This is amazing. I hope, and thank you for letting me get a sneak peek of it. I hope some others that are listening, at the very least, when this comes out on video demand, check it out. But if you can see this in your local area in a theater, the way this thing is filmed and framed, the big screen experience is definitely the way to, I think, to consume this film if you can, and also potentially meet some people, right, that are featured in some of these in this film. So, all the best this coming year, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much, James. Thanks for having me on and for all the kind words.
No worries. You take care. Cheers.
Bye.
This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, Produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.